Today we are joined by Joseph from Pera, and these guys have a major update in the Algorand ecosystem. So Pera Fund just launched yesterday. This is a wallet-native funding experience built directly into the application. So massive for onboarding into Algorand. The update also integrated Exoswap for direct cross-chain swaps. This conversation is going to be all about kind of reducing friction, improving how liquidity enters the Algorand ecosystem, and making real participation accessible. Huge shout out to the Algorand Foundation for making this possible. This is not financial advice, but Joseph, the floor is kind of yours today, man, and welcome back. It's 2026.
Yeah.
Pera Fund launched yesterday. So what was the announcement? Can you give us maybe an overview of how important this announcement is and what it means for you guys?
Yeah, sure. So, just working in crypto and Web3 in general, we know that like the biggest hurdle for somebody trying Algorand or even any network of that regards is getting your crypto token in general. And, as utility has been building out on the networks, we've been seeing the rise of stablecoins. We have the Genius Act, the Clarity Act is coming as well. So we're seeing the importance that comes with stablecoins as well. So right in Pera, we had a way for users to buy funds originally, but the thing was there was a lot of friction involved. Number one, the UX wasn't that great. We were using a third-party widget. Not every country was available via providers. So for example, United States, they were blocked from, seeing the screen in general. And then in addition to that, like somebody that's a cross-chain user, like they don't want to be moving, buying new funds every time. Like, we're seeing as time goes on, it's not one chain that's going to win it all. It's a conglomerate of chains. Most users, they typically use more than one chain too. So we want to provide an easy way for them to be able to bring in their existing funds into Algorand and then be able to use it in the network, whether they want to stake it, use dApps on the network like Alpha Arcade or Folks Finance, or, just want to hold it. And, if they feel comfortable with Pera as a wallet and they want to hold their stable coins and their stablecoin balance on the chain. So this new feature, it really opens up a lot of access and a lot of new points for liquidity to be able to flow into the ecosystem, because with allowing the United States to be able to access this feature. In addition to that, we also allowed for the people to be able to buy stable coins with fiat. So if you have USD, if you have Euro, and you want to just buy USDC on Algorand, you don't have to go through the process of buying Algorand and then converting it to USDC afterwards. So we really feel like this is a really solid way for us to begin making Algorand a lot more interoperable with the broader ecosystem, while also giving clear pathways for liquidity to flow into Algorand and then hopefully lift the whole system up.
Yeah, and I mean, I would love if you could break down, because I did see you guys got a shout out from Exodus as well, and obviously Exodus has a lot of ties into the Algorand ecosystem. What is Exoswap? What is Exodus's Exoswap? What does this allow people to do? I have to show, I'll give a soft Genfinity plug here. You can go and read the entire breakdown of Pera Fund here as well. And shout out to Valor for the I'm colorblind, by the way, so I can't tell exactly what color it is. I think it's like lime green, but this is a little different than the color schemes we normally use. Read the full article there. But tell us what Exoswap is. Which type of ecosystems can now interact, and what does that mean for kind of onboarding into the ecosystem as well?
Yeah, sure. So if you're unfamiliar with Exodus, they are a multi-chain wallet. And in the wallet itself, you can swap cryptocurrencies from one to the other. What they did was they took out that engine that drives their in-app swaps, and they made it into a product that other ecosystems can lock into and then use the infrastructure that they built for the swaps in order to integrate into their product. So, since I think it was 2020, 2021, Exodus has been a very long time OG of the Algorand ecosystem, and they've been building here. They tokenized their stock on Algorand, and just overall, they're one of the few multi-chain wallets that says Wallet Connect support for Algorand. So they've been relatively locked into the ecosystem. So it was a really good partnership because we have two products that really want to see the Algorand ecosystem thrive, and being able to integrate that feature allowed us to not have to worry about being a multi-chain wallet. So that was the big selling point for us is, we're able to create this engine in app and, have that Pera experience, but we don't have to go through the entire steps of adding other chains like Ethereum, Solana, etc. So essentially with this, we give you a QR code or a wallet address. So let's say if you want to swap your USDC from Solana to USDC on Algorand. All you have to do is you set up the swap. We'll give you an address to send it to. Go to MetaMask or Phantom, send the USDC to that address, and then the Exoswap, recognizes that those funds were sent, and then they'll spit out the right amount of funds on the other side for you, basically. So it's
Yeah.
really
So I think, in this, I just did an interview. I think we just published it yesterday with Albridge too. And this is, I think, interesting because we are seeing a little bit of a maturation in crypto with kind of native USDC across these different networks. Even a couple of days ago, I think it was Kraken that announced that they now support native Algorand USDC, which I think is awesome. What does that kind of mean for you guys? Because I think that has been such a barrier to adoption, not only in Algorand, but across all of crypto, to like explain to somebody how to onboard. And you're like, yeah, here's this really cool application. You download it, and then you go onto this exchange, and then you do. It's like, and everybody's like, well, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, no, that's that's the big issue with crypto. Like somebody who you have to find people who are willing to kind of fight through that barrier of friction in order to like get them to start using the ecosystem. So, USDC has really been, in the forefront of a lot of news in general. And I think even to a normal population, like the normie population, like stablecoins are a lot easier to understand. It's just a tokenized version of the dollar. And what we're seeing too, ecosystem wise, is a lot of dApps and a lot of products, they're using USDC as their denominated currency. So typically, back in the day, everybody used to pair their token with algo. We're seeing a shift to where people are pairing their tokens with USDC because for the end product, you don't have to worry about the variability of crypto prices. You have a fixed steady income that you can measure out, that you can gauge. And even too, a lot of people got with tax seasons, if you sold something when the price was this, but then it dropped over the course of the year, you still owe the taxes on that amount. But with stablecoins, it's a lot easier for taxes alone too. So with this effort of seeing more products, adopt stablecoins in general, especially those that are building on the networks, it was a mission for Algorand Foundation in general to have USDC listed. I believe right now we're listed on all top 20 centralized exchanges. But with our feature, we're trying to go for the other market, which are people that are already in crypto. So these are people who want to try to avoid using centralized exchanges, people who don't want to go through the KYC process again for onboarding new funds. So the Exoswap allows them to take their existing crypto, move it into Algorand, while also we have other ways of getting crypto. So our other provider that we integrated was Meld. Now what they do is they're an aggregator of a bunch of different on-ramps. So, on-ramps like Transact, Banksa, Revolut, they're all aggregated inside Meld. So it makes it super easy for us to be able to add new providers into this. If a new provider comes online in a certain region that we're looking to target, we're able to, point users there. And what's nice too is it sorts every provider by their rate. So if you're in a region where there's 4 or 5 providers, we'll be able to give you the best rate. We also have different options too. You can use a credit or debit card to buy it, or you could go ACH or SEPA or wherever you're located in order to on-ramp the funds as well. So we're really trying to just give users as many options as possible, because we know that if a user has the chance to say no, they will say no. So if we can just make this as streamlined as possible, there's less excuses not to try and use Algorand.
Yeah, and you mentioned Brale as well, and maybe talk a little bit about, or whatever you can say about United States users, because I feel like there's been, as you mentioned, with the Genius Act and hopefully the Clarity Act, we'll see when that comes to fruition, but there has been some more clarity in the US, and it looks like now there's going to be more accessibility through things like Brale into Pera Fund and the Algorand ecosystem as well. And then I know you have a showcase for us here too, so we'll load up our screen after this.
Okay. And yeah, that's like the true beauty of the system we built too, is similar to our swap aggregator. We built it in a way that it can be scalable. So by using Meld, for example, they are already integrated with Brale. So once Brale goes online with their USDC buying, we'll be able to add them into our on-ramp stack. In addition to that, like on the swapping side, we can add products like Albridge if we wanted. If Li-Fi, which is another popular cross-chain swapper, integrates Algorand, we'll be able to add them as well. And what this does is allows people to have more options, have better rates, and kind of create competition within what we're looking to provide to the end user. Because for us, we look at ourselves as a point of access. We don't want to be a gatekeeper, and we want to be able to provide our users with the best services possible. So by building it in this way where it's more of a foundation that we continue to build upon, it will continuously improve as more integrations, more interoperability with Algorand happens as well. So we're very excited, to get this feature launched.
Yeah, well, while you load up your screen, I think it's interesting. Like the guy from Albridge yesterday actually was saying, think about it like as like the platformification of crypto and blockchain. Whereas like, what do we normally do right now? I mean, what do people normally do right now that aren't in crypto or are in crypto? We all use just these like internet platforms. Really, what crypto and blockchain do is essentially add an additional value layer on top of all of that, and people are going to interact with these platforms, websites, whatever, probably in an identical way as they're interacting right now. They're just going to be able to do more things, and you want to make sure that they have access points, like you said, Joseph, and just continuing to break these barriers down. But what are we looking at here? Excited to see the showcase here.
Yeah, sure. So this is Pera when you first open up the app. So you can see we have the chart and everything, but we have fund up here and then down here. So if you actually have anything that is pending, it'll show a little red dot to let you know the active order status. So this is the fund page itself. So you can see here that we have the input currencies. So you have Bitcoin, and then you have the output currency, which could be either Algorand or USDC. In addition to that, you can select any Pera wallet that you currently have. And then here's the list of all the input currencies that we have. So right now we have fiat currency. So anywhere in the world that we have an on-ramp that supports you, you can select your fiat currency. It will also auto-select the fiat currency for you. So if you're from the United States, it'll pick the US dollar. If you're from, Spain or something, it'll pick the euro for you. So it'll be able to do that. And in addition to that, we offer 12 cryptocurrencies. So Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, HBAR, XRP, for example. And then we also offer 13 versions of stablecoins. So it's USDC, USDT, and PyUSD from the networks that we just mentioned. So whichever one they're enabled on, they'll be able to bridge it over to Algorand.
Wow. Yeah, that's huge. I mean, I think that's, doing everything in app makes total sense, obviously, because I think that's been historically kind of a pain point, is especially like, if you do digging and you find a new network that you're interested in, and then it's like, well, how do I get there? It's a lot easier to have kind of obviously the main application or main wallet, kind of the gateway to the ecosystem, having that kind of capability just naturally happen. So that's huge.
Yeah, I mean, even to like one of the main bits of feedback we had was for US users specifically, because we didn't have an on-ramp partner for the United States. So when they would click buy, they would be like, it would say you can't buy. So some users would interpret that as, I can't buy Algorand. Like, this is not available to me in my country. So by having this screen pop up, and it gives users the option, like, those people that may have been turned away at the gate that we had now have a way to come into Algorand and be able to buy the fund. So that alone is such a huge, reduction in the friction of barrier to us. In addition to that, it just goes very well with our entire, move to the United States, in essence. Like, if we are moving to the United States should be the forefront of the product features. And, with this change, the United States is now the forefront of this product feature, because something that was not available to them yesterday is now available to them today. So it's such a huge opening for us, and we think it's a huge opportunity for people that are trying Algorand for the first time.
Yeah, and I think it'll be interesting to watch, and I'm sure you guys are doing this kind of behind the scenes, but kind of tracking what this does for network onboarding and activity. Just naturally makes sense to be like, oh, there's now just a much more seamless way to get into the ecosystem. What's this going to do? Because as we probably both know, in crypto and blockchain, we like to invent KPIs that don't matter. Yeah. But I think one of the ones that does matter is actual ecosystem onboarding, and with real users. And I think you guys will get some probably really interesting statistics from this, not only from probably just fiat and like new fiat users. It'll be interesting to watch what happens like across different networks, and where you guys are seeing more pool coming in versus other networks where you might not be. It'll be, you probably get a really good picture.
Yeah, well, this allows us to do a lot, like from, from an ecosystem perspective. Like, we're looking to take the USDC from the fund, and then see where people can use it in other parts of the Algorand ecosystem. So, for example, Alpha Arcade,
Yep.
they accept their bets in USDC. So now we have a clear pipeline of fund to betting on Alpha Arcade. So these are new streams of us to advertise the products as well, and the products building on Algorand as well, and to create that sort of pipeline and funnel that we're looking for to help give these dApps more users, be able to increase the amount of volume and liquidity that is happening on chain with these coins that we're allowing people to swap into. So really hoping for a nice downstream effect for this, and we're also going to be like marketing as a downstream effect, because the benefits to these end users to this feature, it will be the builders on the chain, and the more volume and liquidity we could give to the dApps that are building on the chain, the more opportunity they have to thrive and succeed. So that's really one of our main focuses in general, is just trying to find ways to improve the liquidity in the ecosystem, the amount of users in the ecosystem, and the volume that the ecosystem is generating. Because once you have all three of those clicking, then it shows that you are a successful and thriving blockchain, in our opinion. So
Totally. No, totally. Capital efficiency.
mhm.
And I think, as you mentioned, like, it'll be really interesting to watch how this interacts with, all of the different kind of, I don't even like saying wallet at this point. I mean, I know that when we say, and we're in crypto, we say wallet and we have all these terms, but it'll be interesting to watch how your user account can now interact with all the applications and things to do within the network. And again, kind of see just the red tape continuing to get cut away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting too. Like, so from a marketing perspective, like one of the things I want to try as well is be able to break it down to see like which chains are the most receptive to trying Algorand, because not all chains and all communities are created equally. So, like for example, will we have more resonance with the Bitcoin community versus the Solana community? Because there's not as much meme activity, but Algorand is truer to like OG values, the Bitcoin white paper type of things. So it really gives us a nice A/B testing platform as well to see which communities are more receptive to trying Algorand as well, because we do allow this type of swapping. And even too, from the data, we can see which pairs are being swapped the most, and it'll give us a good insight to see like where outside the ecosystem are we seeing the most inflow. And in addition to this, like eventually in time, we can create this as an outflow as well, because Exodus works both ways.
Yeah.
So for our swap features, we can do where we swap Algorand into Bitcoin. We could swap out USDC on Algorand into USDC on Solana. So there's plenty of more ways for us and as well in the future to be able to take the data that we're receiving from this product and understand where the capital is moving from and where the capital is moving to. And by understanding the capital efficiency of everything, it gives us a lot better data and insights into see how we can effectively cater to those communities that are using our product more. So it's a really good way to just kind of get that microscope in there and understand, the capital inflows and outflows that we didn't really have on Algorand before this.
Internet of value. Is there anything else through this walkthrough that we're going to see here?
No, this is basically it. So essentially, if you're selecting, you can see here we have the provider name. So if there's multiple options available, you'll be able to select them. And then in addition, if there's other payment methods, you'll be able to select that as well. I'm just going to fast forward a little bit. And then we also have a history tab. So here it goes over all the swaps that you currently have running and any on-ramp. So you can see that we have statuses for pending, in progress, completed, failed, canceled. So here, if you're ever wondering where your funds are, because not all blockchains have instant finality, not all blockchains are super fast like Algorand, this gives you a nice little dashboard to understand where your money is at all times. You could do things like cancel, you could retry if it failed, and reinitiate. And it's a good way too to keeping track of how much money you brought into Algorand, and be able to kind of track your profit and loss that way as well. So
Sure. Yeah, I think the more things that can get us to a more streamlined tax experience will be great in this space. I think we're making some progress. So outside of the Pera Fund aspects, which is obviously huge for you guys, is there anything in addition that whether it be Pera Fund or what's going on with you guys at Pera Wallet, or just ecosystem wide, that you're interested in or excited about? I told you we'd be doing. So I think the last one we did, Joseph, was like mid-December.
yeah.
Here we are in 2026 already. I would love let's do the 2026 outlook, since we're actually in 2026 now.
Yeah. So for this year, like last year, our main focus was kind of on modernizing the app, creating a better UX in general, and building the app to be more of a hybrid between like a banking app and a finance app. So we feel like we successfully completed that. This on ramp was basically the last step in that modernization process. So moving forward, our new focus is on financial empowerment and control. Like going back to the values of the Bitcoin white paper and understanding that people want sovereignty over their money. They want to be trusting it in exchanges and banks and, where you have to have layers of trust involved. So our first order of business is probably going to come next month. It's going to be multi-signature wallets. We're actually going to be calling them joint accounts because we feel like that is more synonymous with the Web 2 feeling, with the banking feeling, and just kind of fits more on brand with what people are used to and our guidance to be able to have a new person come in and understand, okay, this is a joint account. I know what a joint account is. I know what it means. I know what it means to me. But joint accounts are really cool because they allow us a lot more features as well. Like we could do things like having basically the first version of the DREC Alliance inside the app as well. So really excited about that. We could do things like having parental controls with Multi-Sig. So if you want to try to teach your kid finance, you have to approve all the transactions for them, and you can understand how they're spending things. So there's a lot of like cool ways that we could twist
That's really, really cool. I actually, so I know, and honestly, like I haven't heard this brought up in this way ever in crypto yet. Because obviously multi-sig's been around for, I mean, as long as I've been in crypto, I think. But hearing it described as just something super normal that we're all used to. It's almost like, yeah, you could have it as an oversight. You could have it as a second check on a checker on kind of an account, which obviously would make sense for a lot of different reasons. But yeah, that's really cool. So yeah, kudos to you guys. And I'm sorry to interrupt, but I haven't heard it described that way. And it like makes, it's so simple that it makes sense to be described that way that I will probably, even for myself, steal that term and use that whenever I talk about multi-sigs now. So yeah, thank you.
No, appreciate it. That's like a lot of the effort we've been doing from the marketing perspective is trying to break down the complexity of crypto. Because for us too, this is a very difficult feature to implement. There are so many different pieces that we have to kind of manage. And then like the hardest part too is on Algorand, the joint accounts are essentially like layer one wallets on the chain. And the wallets that comprise of it make up the joint account address. So, but in order for a transaction to be signed, you have to have all these users sign the transaction within a certain amount of time period. So for us, like our backend has to make sure that like, it's tracking the transactions, tracking, make sure that it has the proper amount of signatures that are needed. And then it has to let everybody know the current state of it. So it's actually a really difficult feature. And this is why, like, if you ever try multi-sig on other wallets, it's pretty clunky. Like I've tried it on the Bitcoin wallets. It's very difficult to get it started. It's very difficult to manage it. And not a lot of EVM chains support multi-sig as well, believe it or not. So it was
what might be like really interesting is obviously we have all the agentic commerce stuff. And obviously, multi. So, we're heading towards a future where obviously the AI stuff is just getting more and more sophisticated. But I know I hear people always saying, well, there has to be some sort of a manual overcheck for the AI stuff. So imagine, in the future, having an autonomous agent that could essentially be the first step in a joint account where it can do certain things, but then you have that manual oversight to like get stuff across the line. Like my head goes in like really weird directions with the AI stuff, but yeah, sorry to ramble.
No, that's a really good idea though, because like, my biggest fear with agentic commerce is like, I don't want AI to spend my money for me because I don't know. I use AI a lot and what I do, and I know that it's not very accurate most of the time. Like if you don't know what you're prompting and you're just like kind of like taking what is being spit out at you, you're probably going to be wrong eventually because it's just not that good in certain areas. So if I apply that to monetary, there probably will be some sort of mistakes it makes. And I don't want to kind of give it full control over the funds.
Totally.
By having that, like, are you sure type of thing at the end of it, where I have to confirm the transfer, it can do all the hard work for me. I'm able to just simply review it and then just hit a little confirm and the whole thing goes through. So I think that's actually a really good use case for agentic commerce. I'm probably going to take that back to my team.
Yeah. Well, imagine, and that instead of fighting with ChatGPT or Claude prompts, you're now fighting. You're fighting with finance prompts. I mean, I try to get AI as close as I can, and I still feel like anytime I do something with it, I fight it for 20 or 30 minutes.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I feel like it takes sometimes longer than if I was to just do it myself. So,
So I mean, that's huge. Obviously, joint
yeah.
accounts being a huge focus, and hearing more coming off the back end of that. As early as next month. What else is next? And yeah, we'll ramp us down here, Joseph.
So the other big feature that we're hoping to launch in Q1 is NOAA, which is our virtual bank account feature. So this is, goes into kind of like our fund feature as well, where we're trying to really make access to liquidity on Algorand as easy as possible. So what NOAA does is basically creates a joint bank account for you, and then you could create a SEPA account or an ACH account. And what this does is it gives you, just like if you had a regular bank account, it'll give you a bank account number, a routing number, and you could use this for things like direct deposit. If you're a foreign worker, you use it for remittances. And when you come into Algorand, you set everything up and you create a destination wallet inside the app. So whenever money gets deposited, let's say I got paid, I got $1,000 for the week. The month that $1,000 gets transferred to my Algorand wallet as USDC. So it's a really nice seamless way for people to be able to skip centralized exchanges, skip decentralized exchanges, and just be able to get paid directly into USDC on chain. So it's a really cool feature, and it just kind of fits into that whole financial sovereignty that we're going for, and just giving users the tools to be able to control and manage their money and not have to worry about third party, not having to worry about trust, not having to worry about middlemen, not having to worry about high fees and all these pains that come with traditional finance, and just be able to give users like an escape hatch. So I want to escape the system, and now we're giving them that ramp to be able to do it.
Yeah. By the way, look at this is what my this is what my notes look like after I do an interview. It looks like a diagram that even I can't read at the end. But I think a virtual bank account totally makes sense. I mean, we think about just how many billions of people on the planet have things like a cell phone, but aren't tied into the system. But what's interesting to me is it seems like we're heading towards a future of like on-chain capital markets, where essentially there's going to be a lot more, I would guess, competition between, stable competition. I would say, I think stablecoins are going to play a big part, and then you could move even forward into tokenized deposits and what that looks like. But I think it's really interesting because the way I would see it almost in the future is like, okay, I have this virtual bank account. I can do all the things that I do normally. And I can also kind of, obviously I don't want to speculate too much. This isn't like financial advice or anything, but I can gain yield, like real world yield, from having this, this stable coin in my wallet that does something for me. Obviously, we're not quite there yet as in crypto as a whole. I just imagine that kind of being the future that we're heading towards, is like doing all the same stuff that I'm already doing. Money is pretty much already digital anyways. But having kind of this like real yield that I can kind of generate from, whether it be a stable or whatever it is. So,
yeah, no, it's really exciting. I don't know if you've been following, but the Coinbase banks argument about the Genius Act, they're trying to kill the stablecoin yield, but it seems like it might not happen, which is good. But yeah, even too, like one of the things that we're looking is creating more efficient tokenized, RWAs on chain. So over the summer we had T-bills from Midas. But if we could get like more tokenized stocks on chain, commodities that are tokenized on chain, like gold and silver, you see how those are exploding right now.
sure.
And the more tangible assets that have real world value behind them, it allows Pera and just Algorand in general, and even to any blockchain, to kind of be able to have this like one app where you're interoperable with all these different types of commodities, stocks, T-bills, bonds, whatever you can dream of. And you don't have to go through all these different apps that you would in the traditional finance world. And you don't have to have them hold the money for you. You're able to not only control the money that you flow, you're able to own it, and you don't have to worry about any sort of trust layers in between. So this is like really like where we see the industry evolving and where we're trying to position ourselves the best. So that way, when the day does come where people just say like, I don't really trust banks anymore, I don't trust the system anymore, I wish that there was another way. I wish that there was a better way. We just want to be there with open arms and being like, hey, try decentralized finance.
Yeah.
All the points that you're thinking of right now, we solve. And what you're dealing with right now isn't necessary because there already is a better way of doing it.
I think that we're heading towards a future where Well, hopefully, where access is democratized into things where you don't have to be this ultra wealthy individual that, I guess it doesn't matter. You can be an ultra wealthy individual, or you can have $100 in your account and you're going to be able to participate in all sorts of different things. That's kind of the way that I look at like what tokenization could open up with all of these asset classes. Is like, it doesn't matter. We hear all the time level playing field in crypto. I think even internally in crypto, we realize that's not the case right now. But I hope we're heading towards a future where we're closer to a level playing field where people can participate in whatever they want to participate in. And that access is democratized. And obviously there's compliance and other aspects. But Joseph, I'm going to ramp us down here. I know that we're at time. I want to make sure everybody knows to go and check out Pera Wallet at perawallet.app and give Pera Wallet at Pera Algo Wallet a follow on X as well. Pera Fund is live as of yesterday. That is a massive, massive announcement. Access is being opened up every single day, which is really cool. We saw a demo walkthrough today. We've heard about joint accounts, which is just a really, I think, a better way of saying multi-sig. It's like we always have to invent these terms in crypto.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, looking further out as well, kind of this virtual bank account aspect, which is just like a really easy way to understand how to participate in this technology. Joseph, thank you for joining today, and let's do this again. I'm sure we will in the near future. Yeah, that being said, hang out with me for a second and make sure I get this recording.